Hello.
Hello.
Are we working? Oh. Hello. Sorry about that. Okay then. Welcome back. Hopefully audio is working. I'm sure you'll let us know. We've had some fun trying to fix it. We've had a couple people down. And yeah.
We're getting rip ears, so it obviously works.
Rip ears. Is that loud enough for you?
Too much sound now.
Too much sound. Okay. Okay then. Let's get on with it. DarkScape Stream. Hello, we're at DarkScape Stream. As you've worked out, World 200 just behind us. You've been killing us. We tried to using visuals to communicate some stuff to you, but you weren't quite getting it. So
I think one person did get it.
Did they?
Yeah, one person did ask me a question about it.
Cool. Well, we'll jump straight into it then. We'll talk about next update, next DarkScape update. Hopefully Monday. We'll have to see. Obviously, like it's subject to QA. But what's the big news? What are we doing?
So should we do it through mine whilst talking?
No, let's just.
Yeah,
we've wasted quite a bit of time.
That already.
So bank.
Yep, right
Bank.
there.
Currently 3 of them. Soon to be 1 of them. So we are getting rid of the extra Gs and the extra banks and the teleport restrictions.
Yes.
The threat levels are still going to be in there, and so are the GE taxes. Sorry, we're basically getting.
Sorry.
Pardon?
Don't say sorry.
Don't say sorry. Well, you know. So 1 bank. Basically, it's going to be 1 bank. The initial release is going to be a bit shonky.
Yeah, it's as quick as possible to get it working. It's functional, but it's could have lots of polish to improve it.
Yeah, so you're going to have basically 3 tabs that will look very similar to low, mid, and high. But you will be able to trade between them, etc. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like bear with us. We were obviously putting in as quickly as possible for the next update. That's why it's, as you say, a bit chunky. And then hopefully we can like fix it up better in the future. Obviously, the reason for this is kind of like we've been agreeing with you guys. We kind of feel like we've been having a good look at it, and smuggling isn't, well, the current way of smuggling, because dealing with quest items, moving stuff between banks, isn't particularly fun. I do kind of feel like it was a nice thing at the start, but as time goes on, like you think, oh, this is kind of cool when you're thinking about it, and then when you have to do that every day, every time you log in, it's like, oh,
it becomes much more of a chore.
Definitely a chore. But we still actually like the idea of smuggling, right? Like there's still a place in DarkScape for smuggling in the future. Yeah, I saw a pretty cool
idea of like a D&D that incorporates smuggling, like because there were some moments where smuggling was really cool. There were some like really tense moments where you're just looking at everyone and going, who's going to kill me? So that's something that we'd like to bring back, but more like through a D&D, for instance, rather than having it like a whole surface world thing.
New unique content for DarkScape.
Yeah, maybe something like surface world Gobi bands. That'd be pretty cool.
I think you were talking about, I think this was the idea, was something about like you have like a crate of items that you start up Alcrid, and then you can like travel, you have to like travel on foot with your big crate of stuff across the other side of the map, and the further you get, like you can maybe stop off at several towns, and the further you get, like you risk versus reward sort of thing.
And I guess if someone kills you, they could get that exact crate, and it would have like a note on it saying deliver to this guy for your reward.
Continue it and stuff like that. So, I mean, banks, the GE, keeping the tax, it is very much a case of with these other changes, like we're talking about, like with the last week's changes, with the addition of the tax, there was incentive for sellers to go to high risk, but there wasn't.
Yeah, not for buyers.
But not for buyers. So now that we've made this change and there's going to be 1 bank, there's the incentive for sellers to go to the high risk GE, but buyers can still buy their stuff from the low risk.
Yeah.
So obviously not paying any tax, because you don't pay tax on buying. So again, like the tax rates are staying in there for the 3 Gs. We'll continue to monitor that and see what changes there. So no changes with the tax at this time. Obviously with the banks, that changes things up a bit. What else? There's a few other things going in there. So you mentioned teleport restrictions. So now with the teleport items, your stuff, you can go from different threat areas. Before you were confined to one threat area.
For paid teleports, we no longer restrict you. Home teleport, we kind of like you having to basically go naked through home teleports. They're free, they're really convenient. So if you want to like teleport around, then use the ones in the magic book or the items, etc.
Yep, cool. And there's a few other things that we're kind of fixing stuff. I mean, like one we've already hotfixed was the D-Spear spec. People were using that on familiars, to get the other person's skull. So that was fixed yesterday, I believe. Then it was in it, and so that's in. Obviously, once we do hot fixes, we then need to like do the proper fix with cold fixes later on. Nerf manders, one word, question mark.
So let's just say salamanders are going to be addressed. This camera. So let's just say salamanders are going to be addressed with the next update. We're not going to tell you what's actually going to happen because we don't want to affect the market until the update goes live. But salamanders are going to be addressed.
Cool. And then familiar misclicks.
So
the G and stuff. Bats, isn't it? That's the one that everyone goes on about.
Yeah.
Fruit bats.
So just adding the familiar hide that's on the Varrock GE to the other GEs. So every GE will hide your familiars when you go to them.
Cool.
Nice and simple.
Nice one. And as always, like we say, as I always say, we always monitor everything we do, and we will readdress if needs be and stuff. So with that news, like, do let us know your thoughts on that stuff. There has been times in the past when we feel like, there's a strong, like, not just DarkScape RS3 as well. Like you get like, there seems to be this strong like feedback for this one particular thing. So you go, okay, we do that, and then we make the change, and then this other group of people come out from nowhere and go, why did you do that? So do let us know if like you don't want that stuff. But I imagine like the majority of people are happy with those changes. Cool. If you've got any questions about that, do ask in the chat. We will come to them. We also got a number of questions that we obviously gathered beforehand. There's already been a few. Glurin and Turin asks, where is the GE going to be located? We're still keeping the same GEs in the different threat zones.
They're not changing.
So what's happening is you're only getting one grand exchange, as in one back-end thing. So everyone sells into the same grand exchange. When you log in on Monday, I believe all of your GE offers in the mid and high.
Yeah, both of those will all be cancelled.
Will all to be cancelled, and then when you next open the GE, you can collect them and re-put them back up. However, the Gs will be situated like spread out again, so that basically the tax differences in the different areas are still in effect. So there's still going to be all of the Gs that you currently have. They're all going to still be there, but it's going to be one GE that everyone sells into, so one market effectively.
Did we make an additional change to the high risk GE?
We have. So for the high risk GE, we've made it higher risk. So currently in the crater we have 4 GEs. 2 of those are going to be grand exchanges. 2 of those are going to be banks. So if you want to sell in the high GE, you've got to kind of
a bit of running time,
a small amount of risk and running to get it to the GE basically.
Cool. Chrono AM asks, so will charter boats be repriced once the teleports have been adjusted?
Not with this update, I don't believe.
Yeah, it's not something we're planning on. We might do it in a future update, maybe.
Yeah, so all of the surface world teleport options haven't been reverted with this update, so you can still really screw yourself over with fairy rings.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on it. We like the fact that we like the whole choke pointing nature basically. So certain routes being tried and tested and everyone always using them means that they get choke pointed and people know where to camp, etc. So other things having a bit of a cost means, if you're willing to pay, you get a bit more safety. But we don't want all of these million ways to get around and then all of a sudden no one really sees each other.
Yeah. Cool. Nice one. Omega Shoots asks, are the general stores still going to be the way they are?
Yes.
Yes. Cool. Okay then. Any thoughts on changing those? Are we happy?
No, we're happy with how that's
general stores.
How the stores are working basically.
Cool. Nice one. PBL123 asks, would it be possible to add the ability for players to choose what items that they protect? We've kind of addressed this a few times, I feel, but it's it's still something that people continuously ask, so we'll address it once again.
Last time as well. It would be very difficult to do, so might be possible. I'm not actually sure if it is, but it's not going to be easy. Yeah, to say the least.
It's going to take a bit of work, so therefore it's not unfortunately. If it was an easy thing to do, we would have done it already.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think also I'll mention, because it'll probably come up a few times, just kind of like how the team's running at the moment and a little bit of the next couple of weeks, because obviously, as we've kind of been saying the last few weeks, the ModPie is fully on the combat updates. He's busy working away at those, and Mod Hunter's been kind of doing up all the other bits,
Everything else.
everything else sort of thing. Because it is kind of like Christmas time, we get to the end of the year, everyone's using up all their holidays. I know I had like last week off. I've got a bunch more to take as well. And Mod Hunter's been saving his up, so he's actually going to be off for the next 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
Everyone's jealous.
yeah, definitely well jelly. But what that does mean is that obviously ModPie is going to be working on the combat stuff. You know, if there's something urgent that needs some attention, then obviously you can come off that to address it. But after next week's game update, then the next update probably will be the combat one, and we don't know when that's going to be. It's, as we said all along, it's ready when it's ready. So no guarantee when the next update is after next Monday. Yeah, and then once Mod Hunter's back, he'll be back into the swing of DarkScape stuff. Yeah. Okay then. Mojo has a one asks, are you going to synchronize the UTC clocks on all your servers? Currently World 206 and 207 are up to 4 minutes behind 200 and 201.
Yeah, so we investigated this because we've actually been getting some pretty funny errors on the back end. So we've been getting errors basically saying people are teleporting back in time, which is pretty interesting to hear. Nice. So when you home teleport, we remember the last time you home teleported, and if you teleport into the past, then it gives us an error. We've looked at that, and basically the American servers, 206 and 207, have different time syncs. We're going to fix that next update, because it requires us to restart the server. So
cool, nice one. Traveling back in time. Okay then. I Live with Dogecoin asked, is there any possibility for GE to get reworked? So I think this is people requesting the ability to see how much stuff is actually on the GE, knowing what's on there before you can actually buy and stuff like that, and the prices people are setting them up. I guess it's kind of functionality you see in a lot of other kind of similar games and such.
Yeah, it's definitely possible, but it's more of a project. It's not like a quick fix that we can just get in quickly for 1 week.
Yeah.
So, yeah, potentially.
Yeah, I would agree with that sort of thing. It would take a bit of time. It's not a pressing matter, but definitely something that we could look at in the future. Cool. I should really keep this on me. Blade Cyocled asks, are guards in medium threat areas meant to guard towns or banks? The description says towns, but very few exist outside of banks.
They're the exact same guards as are mapped in other places. That would be why the description is off.
Right. So that's what the examine text is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Right. But are there intentions that in medium threat zones that the guards in there are only there for the banks?
No, they are there for the towns as well.
Do we have any wandering guards and stuff, like patrolling guards?
We should have in Ardoin and Yanil. I believe Yanil is definitely patrolled, because I put those in. I don't know about Ardoin.
That has a few patrollers, yeah.
Right.
It's
I mean, we
mostly
can look
banks.
at their patrol routes and see if they need to be updated.
Maybe they're feeling then like there's not enough guards or something like that. Something to look into. And then kind of on a similar note, he also asked, could the Al-Kharidian guards step up their patrols? I'm not sure they hit the memo that they're in a low risk area now. So I think Al-Kharid is noticeably a bit barren in terms of guards.
Definitely only has bank guards.
Yeah, but I do sort of feel we have enough guards over the game at the moment already, so I'd be hesitant to add more in as well.
Yeah, we certainly did want certain areas to be kind of like mercenary towns. I believe when the first incarnation had like Draenor, for instance, had no guards in it because it was more of a kind of an outlier with no guards. So certain towns are deliberately basically guardless to kind of allow you to bank when you've got a PK skull.
Well, let us know your thoughts on those ones then. It'd be interesting to hear what you think about maybe some places needing an increasement of guards. Okay then, Rooney, or is it Runny? Which one is it? Rooney Runny. I don't know how to pronounce it. Runy. Is it Rooney or Runny? Whatever. Hashtag Debrino is on their Reddit. Why do we allow players to lure guards extremely far? So I think there's been some Reddit threads, hasn't there? Yeah, they've seen like someone managed to lure them all the way to the banks area after a warband where everyone's scolded.
This is one particular guard that roams the whole of the low area, so he has a rather large range on his what we call his
how
config.
far he can go.
So basically, every guard has like a max limit, and the patrolling ones have a bigger one. This guy just happens to have a massive one.
Right.
We could potentially just put something into the guards to stop them attacking people in high.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest solution.
Yeah. Okay. So no intent. We never really intended for guards to wander into the high risk area.
Yeah, certainly not high GE.
But in general, we're kind of like in like low threat areas. We're kind of happy with people luring guards around.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Nice one. G.I. Pritchard asks, barricades an awesome addition to DarkScape. Any chance we will see other deployable items in the future? I've seen threads where people have mentioned things like traps, kind of, what else are things? Kind of like stuff that gives like effects on you and stuff like
debuff things.
Stat debuff and stuff.
Yeah, I saw that thread.
And we've been talking about this ourselves already, haven't we? We're like,
Yeah.
I think barricades have gone down really well. I think it was a good addition to the game, sort of thing.
It's definitely something that there's interest in doing more of.
Yeah.
We've got different things to experiment with first, but it's definitely something that there's interest in.
Yeah, like more kind of like stuff that opens up emergent gameplay and such.
Yeah, watching what's happened with the barricades has been brilliant. So more
People,
of this.
any favourites? Any favourites you've seen?
What, from the barricades?
Yeah.
I saw, I can't pronounce your name, sorry dude, Schnobovin.
Yeah.
What?
Snobbervom.
Use them quite nicely.
In a YouTube video, you're like pretty good. Yeah, you should check out his YouTube video. It's pretty cool. You kind of like someone was just kind of killing vampires or something, I think, and he just kind of
just
one on either side, and then like, oh, he's stuck now. And uses them quite effectively against melee people using melee as well. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've seen. We always knew there was going to be some people sticking around those stones for the lols and stuff. And we're fine with
very
that, really. You know.
Yeah. The bot killing is obviously my favorite.
And people stopping bots and stuff, enjoying with that. Cool. Yeah, I think. We definitely want to do more stuff. I think some of the one with traps, I feel like it's a hard one because if you just put traps. Allow deployable traps like barricades you can see. With traps, like, is everyone then going to be just walking one tile and then be like investigate and then
just base it on your hunter level. The higher hunter level you are, the more you can see other people's traps.
Yeah. So it would be interesting. But yeah, I think there's definitely some other stuff. Whilst not deployables and stuff, I think there's some exciting stuff you want to do. I think Mod Hunter, like I had like last week when I was off, had a thought and like I wonder if I can fit this in with Mod Hunter within a week before he leaves, because we were doing the bank stuff and it was a little bit bigger. It wasn't possible, but you still took a look at it and we were able to see. So like you have kind of talked before about like people being able to own cities, like clans owning cities and stuff. So we're kind of talking about as a kind of like proof of concept, like having like a leader of the guards in Yanil and like a clan being able to like kill him, and if they kill him, they then take over Yanil.
Yeah. And
then you have like a clan notice board, and you can like access it, and you can basically set the rules around the area. So you can maybe set like who the guards attack. So it's you keep it to skull players or attack everyone who's not in the clan or nobody at all.
Yeah, I like the idea if you take it over and then your clan gets the Yanil bank.
Yeah.
And the guards just don't attack you because you own the town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can set like prices to like a fee to come in and stuff, and you can have like a clan bank.
10 GP to get
I think the very first Dev Q&A stream, someone asked, like, can we get clan banks? And it was like, oh, well, that's a nice idea. And through this, you could add like a clan bank, and you'd be able to, and then other clans could then raid, and like then could like if they win, like raid your clan bank. And then you would have like the guards maybe respawning every so often to try and take back your nil and stuff like that. Could be pretty interesting. So that's like, just wanted to mention that because whilst we're not going to see that for quite a while,
it's a lot of interesting ideas.
Yeah, and like
one.
want to get your guys thinking of ideas as well. and like letting us know on the forums and Reddit and such, because I think there's a lot of possibilities of things we can do. So we'll be eager to hear them, because I think that's part of what DarkScape is. There's all the there's all the things we're having to do at the moment with the combat and stuff, and just making the general gameplay nice and nice to play and stuff. But there's all the other big kind of like grand ideas we have that we want to
really,
try out and stuff like
eager
that.
to get in as well.
Yeah, and that can take other places. Like it'd be cool to have a place where you can have a GE. And you can set what the tax is, and then
and siphon some of the taxes.
Some of that you have to pay a bit to the people who work at the GE, but also some of that tax goes into into your clan bank as well. And if you're setting the taxes too high, maybe like more clans would be a bit more eager to come attack and try and raid that bank. So there's loads of ideas there. So yeah, please let us know if you've got any bright ideas of your own. Put them on Reddit, put them on forums. Always eager to hear them. iTown asks, if you're leaving charter prices at their current cost, do you have any plan to remove the tasks that require you to use charter ships?
Not really, but perhaps we could reimburse it when you can finish the task set, maybe?
Possibly.
They're quite high.
I don't see much reason to change it myself.
It's just like pay to task.
You get decent rewards from tasks usually, so yeah.
Usually.
Most tasks are decent.
Yeah. Desummon tank, can we fix familiars being left click to attack? So we mentioned like we put in, for the next update, we've got the no familiars around GEs to stop with like the whole bat stuff happening. But is this something we can maybe do, or?
Potentially.
Yeah.
I'm not going to promise anything, but there's a lot of things that we added.
There's a lot of awkwardness around that sort of thing. I'm not sure how it works.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's find my place. Hero asks, any plans to improve shooting stars or evil tree rewards? So at some stage we did add, during our experimenting, with our experiments, we added summoning stuff to it. So shards to shooting stars and pouches to evil trees. We took both of those away, or pouches still on the evil trees? We took both of them away, yeah. But I think people like the idea of pushing people to play those contents, because you have that, with the shooting stars, you have that kind of bit where everyone's standing around it, busy mining away, and they're all chatting, and then there comes a point where it's just like, gets to like the last bit of the meteorite, and everyone's kind of like, okay, preparing now, and then suddenly like it's go, everyone collects their rewards and everyone starts playing.
I'd certainly like to bring some of that back. I don't think bringing shards back would be a good idea.
Yeah.
It was a bit of an error on our part, but I'd certainly like to bring that back. So maybe allow you can cap 200 dust, but then maybe you can PK someone else's dust to get extra rewards. Maybe buff the XP rewards. Maybe the first 200 200 far too many, but the first 20 people to hand in get a massive XP lamp. So if you de-spear people off and get them out of their chat things,
just
and
barrage
kill
everyone
them
away from the sprite.
from the sprite to get one of the first 20, that sort of thing. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I definitely feel like giving people items is with the shards is the way to go, because then you hunt them down because they can't. They try to teleport away and they need to run away and stuff. It'd be cool. So yeah, definitely something to think about, but I think probably in the near future. Zontz asks, what are your thoughts on making some PvP orientated changes to the Brimhaven agility arena? Not sure, they ask about the Brimhaven agility arena. I think mainly because they had a few ideas of their own. I think in general, people were mentioning that agility is a very safe way to train, because there's no motivation for PKers to go kill people whilst they're doing agility, because they don't have anything on them. So any thoughts on that? I mean, the thing that immediately springs to my mind is the draconic item, demonic skull, skull that you added to RS3.
A risk to buff your XP. Yeah, we could certainly do that. I mean, some people have been asking for the demonic skull for rune crafting in DarkScape, which is something I reckon we could port over.
Yeah.
But adding the same thing for agility would be pretty cool as well.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, you have to pay 500k to get an item, and then if you have that item on you, then you get increased XP when training through the Abyss runecrafting methods. But of course, if you PK them, that's 500k that you get there. So if doing something to agility could be interesting. And then in general, like a kind of like related question, Svetroid asks, are you going to Darkscapeify some skills? So obviously agility we just mentioned, but I think there's a number of other ones that they kind of feel like it's very safe to train. Maybe it's because you just stand at the GE and generally you have guards like protecting you there.
Certainly, like the stuff I'd love to do when we have time.
Mm-hmm.
It's another one of those things, you know, we've got to churn out these like big systemic updates so that we can start having a bit more fun.
Yeah,
I think is the best way to put it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned in the very first stream, like one of my first ideas for Darkscape was the PvP. What's it called now? Not runecrafting.
Divination.
Divination, that's it. PvP divination, where instead of like having to go to the different points in the map, you have to kill someone, and they basically their soul becomes,
you siphon their soul,
and you siphon their soul, and that's how you train divination sort of thing, making it like a PvP skill. Would be pretty cool.
That'd be awesome.
But as you said, we've got plenty of other stuff before we can really address those things. Vitachick, if that's how it's pronounced. Maybe Vitachick, I don't know. Legacy mode gives no way for melee or anyone else to break stun. Therefore, is it possible for stun times to be reduced, chance of stun lowered, or a break stun button added with a cooldown?
Interesting they bring up stun and not bind, because most things in Legacy are bind, with the exception of the Dragon Spear, which had been in Legacy. It's called Legacy for a reason. It had been in there for years without a stun break. Certainly, since it's Darkscape and not Legacy, we could look at it, but I don't think it's necessarily needed.
It doesn't seem necessary. It's like, with the combat changes moving over to Mage being more of a control class as well, being able to be
direct
like,
mitigation.
you can't have your controllers, just kind of goes in the face of that.
Cool. Okay then, Hate Within Me says, hey Apai, when is the main game getting Darkscape Cades in Castle Wars? So this is with Darkscape, when with the introduction of the barricades, you also reverted to how it used to work. With you don't just pathfind around it. If you click the other side, you have to manually click around it.
I've been asked for this for years. It's on the Ninja backlog. We didn't quite get to it this week. Hopefully next week.
It's on there. Someone needs to pick it up. But I know there's like...
I know there's a lot of people waiting for that fix.
But really this is a Darkscape stream.
Someone just needs to copy what I did, pretty much.
JetXJet asks, do you think you could open the resource dungeons?
No.
I would say no. Yeah.
When dungeoneering's there.
Wait for dungeoneering. They're a dungeoneering benefit. Just opening them doesn't seem like a good idea to me.
With dungeoneering, like, so I saw a thread somewhere saying it's unfair that you can't do this because we don't have dungeoneering, and I don't feel it's unfair because no one can do dungeoneering.
Yeah.
It's not a case like only members could do it or something like that. Yeah, no one can do dungeoneering, so everyone's at the exact same level with that stuff. So I whilst I know some people like, oh, there's bits of content they really want and stuff, the fact is everyone's at the same level. There's plenty of other things to do at this time. So dungeoneering not coming out for months or whenever it's going to be, because we've said it's a big project sort of thing. I don't particularly have a problem with like stuff being closed off due to it, such as Elf City. Because as soon as like dungeoneering is added in, hopefully a lot of people at the exact same level.
It'll make massive choke points.
And they're all they're all rushing in. They're all training the dungeoneering, and then suddenly you get this rush of people all going into Elf City at the same time. And I think that's a nice thing, rather than just a kind of trickle of people through and the first person having the whole city to themselves sort of thing, or not. Cool. Anony Ingers. Annoying RS rather.
Anony.
Update on skull related things. Can we please have it so that if you attacked a skull person, you don't get a skull, or at least in specific threat zones?
So yeah, this is interesting. I've been watching this in Deadman, to be honest with you. And it seems to me that getting a skull in Deadman is worse than being near a dude with a guard. So what I've seen in Deadman a lot is no one seems to want to PK because the skull is so hardcore, and I mean, I think it's getting a bit better now, but certainly when you see a guy skulled, it's like everyone on him, because I don't get skull. I like the fact that people are incentivized to PK in DarkScape, maybe in low threat areas at a push. But I want to keep people killing people. I don't want people to be so afraid of skulls that, I've skulled, so therefore everyone's just going to lynch me as soon as they see me.
Well, we have talked about in the future that when we come to like reworking the skull system, that like the idea that you have a blue skull and those are the people that go out and attack the red skulls. Red skulls being someone who kills a lot of people.
Yeah, I think that's a much better way to go about it, because because red skulls won't skull you, so the only people that get that like debuff effectively are the people that just go around killing people lots, because obviously the bounty system's going to have decay in it, so in order to get a red skull you must have killed a lot of people in a certain period of time, in which case you are an hour target, rather than instant.
So probably won't be doing anything until we come to rework the sculling system, I imagine. Where are we? Kai299 asks, could we get the old rune values on spells? Melee has no way to get away from Ice Barrage, and it's much cheaper than it is. And it's much cheaper than it used to be.
For Ancients, I think I should look at the spell costs.
Yeah,
because they're very, very good.
Is that something you look at as you do these combat batches, or
I'll write it down
afterwards, or
No, it's worth doing it during the combat batches, because obviously with Mage moving over to control, barrage is a huge thing.
Cool, nice one. All right then, as Pi says, you'll take a look at that. Zeta 9009, would you be willing to remove would you be willing to remove emote clues from treasure trails?
No.
I guess this is because with emote clues you have to like go get several items and wear them at.
It's just basically filling up their bank. Although I like the fact that those items actually have a use.
I'm the same thing.
They're not that expensive in the GE as well.
And now you're going to be able to teleport around with them, so there's no need to smuggle them and go through that hassle. So
I think generally people's banks, because they're getting merged and stuff, like they'll have more space now and stuff, because you won't have water runes in all three banks and stuff like that. I mean, I've done a few clue scrolls as well, and like I kind of like the idea that I had to get these items and stuff, so I'm all for keeping them. Salty Loser asks, how do you feel about adding optional global chat channels? So this is just these are chat channels that everyone can speak in.
Fine, provided you don't want an update for 4 weeks.
Maybe link to different threat zones. So you're saying it's a big update.
It's a big update.
I don't want to touch the chat system again. No. I had to add one into that. Just please no.
But say it wasn't like a massive task and stuff. What would you think, having like just a global chat, or maybe restricted to threat zones or something like that? I
think it's quite funky. I've seen it done in other games, and it works well in some places and really horrible in other places.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that kind of needs a currency to it to limit how much you can spam and all of that.
So it's not just becomes a horrible spam fest and stuff. Cool. Yeah, I kind of like the idea. I think it's with limitations it can be quite nice and stuff. So you could just like yell to everyone and just be like, "This is where I am. Bring it on." Come face me sort of thing, and then you've actually lured everyone into it, or actually you are real and you do have like 10 mil on you, people to PK from. Lol Jumper, who I believe was the first person to kill Arax or Araxi.
Yeah, I believe he's the only person at this point.
First and only. Killed him twice yesterday.
So can confirm on stream, Lol Jumper, world first Araxi kill.
Yeah, there we go.
Congratulations, man.
Can we remove left-click attack on people on our friends list?
That's a bit intricate. Maybe. I can look at how much work it is. Not whilst I'm working on combat.
Yeah, have a look after combat.
Yeah, exactly. Not whilst I'm working on combat.
Yeah, okay, cool. Hero asks, when you step out from the wildy, your warband supplies turn into untradeable. Could that be updated? Could that update be reverted, since on DarkScape we can attack people everywhere?
I'm gonna be the bad guy here and say no. The whole point about that change was directly to counter what's known as alt bans, and with constricting the area with which they can trade. is kind of something I would like. I'd
Right.
prefer them to be stuck in the wilderness rather than the whole of the world.
Okay. Fair enough.
Especially now that we can teleport out of the wilderness just at any point. It's like you could just go there, go to a safe area, done.
Can you teleport with Warbands items? Oh, can you? Should be able to teleport with them.
Can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, there might be a restriction.
Cool.
Probably not.
Terraflux asks, can we fix the item values on rune items? They are currently lower value than adamant.
Are they?
Possibly.
Didn't think they are. If they're lower than Addy, then we can certainly look at them.
Yeah.
Probably
we've
want a
been
bit
saying-
more data on money coming in and out of the game.
Yeah.
We just want things to settle a
Yeah.
bit more, given that all the fluctuations we have before we commit to actually bringing the things back up.
Yeah.
But certainly, if
Should
they're lower
probably
than
still-
Addy,
Yeah, it should still
then-
remain lower than the live rune values, but definitely higher than Addy.
yeah. So we'll look at that. If they're lower than Addy, then we'll ninja in a quick fix, I think.
Big Eden 21, can we get bank tabs? I would like to organise my bank.
Technically, we do. The threat zones will basically be individual tabs in their own right. It's effectively different to how the live game bank tabs work, where everything is just set and just like has a number saying, hey, this is where the next tab starts in terms of code. For us, they're separate inventory, so it's items are stored here, here, here. So you can have like 3 separate coin stacks in each different tab if you want to, and that sort of thing. Which
I think initially when we release tomorrow, it's kind of like release version 1 because we wanted to get it to you as quickly as possible. Things like nicer bank tabs, for instance, are something that we can look at once Mod Hunter's back from his big holiday.
yeah, that's not a nice job.
Welcome back. Your fault for taking 3 weeks off.
But it's so adding niceties to the bank is something that we want to bring back. But just keep in mind, Monday we wanted to get to you before basically as quickly as possible.
Yeah, before I go away.
Yeah.
Yes. Fuzzy Guy Person, if Burst/Barrage get old rune values, what about Surge, Wave and Blast?
Potentially, although they don't have as much utility as Ancients. But adding back the blood runes, etc., is something I can look at, but I'd want a bit more data and a bit more knowledge on what's coming in and out of the game.
Cool. Fita Chick, or Fita, wherever they are, back again. With the change to armors not giving a disadvantage to weapons, mages will essentially be able to wear melee armor and have an advantage over both other classes. I don't mind mages being powerful, but wasn't there talk of a glass cannon approach somewhere?
Okay, so I wrote all this down. So this is our current thoughts on what we want to do for global set effects, effectively. And this is the thing that's supposed to kind of counter the removal of the combat triangle. This is version 1, but basically we also don't want to stop you from, say, maging in melee gear, because when I explain this in a second, you'll kind of understand what we're going for here. So with melee, what we're effectively going to do is we're going to inflate its damage reduction so it's really, really tanky. However, if you're wearing melee armor, your run energy is going to basically go down a lot faster. It already does, considering it's heavier, but we want, when it's equipped, for it to go down a lot more. So when you're wearing melee armor, you're like really, really tanky, but you're kind of immobile. With ranged, we wanted to go for basically the glass cannon build, like you've mentioned. So you're going to have inflated damage, but you're going to have lower defense and damage reduction. So you are effectively just a flat glass cannon. And then for mage, since it's kind of all about control, we are going to increase your accuracy to allow you to bind people a lot more, to allow you to get basic things like weakens and debuffs in, but we're going to lower your damage a bit. So what this allows us to do is basically link the armors to play styles. So if you want to be a tanky mage, that's fine, you can wear your melee armor, but you're not going to be very mobile, and you're not going to be able to hit your things like binds, etc. If you want to be a really powerful, like if you want to be a really hard-hitting mage, then yeah, you can wear ranged armor, but you're going to be paper, effectively. So that's kind of what we're going for at the moment. Those changes kind of affecting PVM, but not hugely. But that's kind of what we're going for at the moment. Give us your feedback on it, of course. It's currently in development, so all the feedback you give me, I will read and we can enact on it quickly before it's released. But that's kind of what we're going for.
Cool. Thank you very much for that. It's not really.
Not really. I think straw polls don't really give me an accurate kind of feel, considering the market that watches the streams kind of thing.
If you've got particular feedback, let us know on like
let
Reddit
us know on Reddit and the forums.
Give
and I'll
actual
read
feedback
it.
of why you like or dislike and such. Sand Traven asks, are there any plans to make further visual changes to the game to add to DarkScape's theme of war and chaos? I think there's really anything at this time, is there?
No, it's another one of those, like, when we have time to relax and think about these things, we'd love to do it. Because obviously I like the theme of DarkScape. Like I said, the original themes around DarkScape were effectively a world where Zamorak won in the Third Age. So now you have this big anarchistic world where the strongest survives, etc. And that's something that I would love to elaborate on, but not whilst we've got more important things in the pipeline.
That's kind of like our starting theme. It was never really something that we brought in because we were never concentrating on lore and stuff. And actually, if you are following the quest, then lore-wise, like Zamorak still lost Battle of Lumbridge and stuff like
we
that,
haven't actually put that lore into the game. It's just kind of what we were thinking when we first started making things.
Cool. I mean, and we do have more DOB within the Ninja team. He's busy doing RS3 Christmas stuff and making defenders at the moment. But if he's, maybe sometime in the near future, you can use a bit of his time to do more stuff. It'd be cool. Mysticky asks, what plans do you have to bring in new players to DarkScape? There's actually quite a number of people asking this sort of question. I think our plans are very much at the moment, there's like, we've talked about wanting to do another marketing push at some point in the future, but it doesn't make sense doing it now whilst
everything's
you're doing
in flux.
We still
doing
have
big combat changes.
Huge updates to come.
We would like to maybe get more of the kind of like barricade-y type gameplay that we're talking about earlier on in the stream. Maybe like the sculling system, like the new
the bounty system sounds good.
Getting that stuff in before, it just makes sense that you get that stuff in before you do a marketing push. So that's really what we're looking for. I mean, that's our general plan. Obviously, like there might be some chances to do smaller stuff in the meantime. We'll monitor stuff. We'll see what's sticky, and like if something like it's worth shouting about, we definitely will, sort of thing. But in terms of marketing, and then the thing with marketing as well is also as a business, as Jagex, we obviously got several other games on the go. We have our RS3, we have Old School, we have like Dead Man. It doesn't, like, if you shout about all those at once, it doesn't really make sense from a marketing point of view. So DarkScape will need to find a slot amongst those and stuff as well. So I imagine sometime in the new year, early new year, we'll be looking to do that sort of thing. Sidious asks, with all the combat changes planning to be made, how can players prepare for the results? So with anything you're doing, should they be hoarding something, or we don't tend to tell players this sort of thing, do we? Because it affects the economy and
certainly
such,
if I've done my job right, then you need to hoard everything.
Right. There we go. Hoard everything.
Which is kind of the point of the update. It depends on what your style of play is, what you enjoy playing like. So I can't really tell you how to prepare other than keep an open mind, and basically you're going to want everything. So
cool. Nice one.
Just be prepared for a bit of a shake-up, basically.
Cool. I've only got a few questions left, so we'll get these done quickly, and that'll be the end of the stream for today. So the best 4,679 asks, can you and will you make GE update faster, at least temporary, so that prices are up to date to current standards? Can we do that?
I think we have tweaking over the bandings, but I'm a little bit worried it's on a per item level. So I think at the moment the GE has like a plus or minus 5% limit each time. I think we can widen that to aid with like price fluctuations, etc. But I'm a little bit worried that that's a per item thing, and with
Right.
the amount of items we have currently in game, it's
A lot.
that'd be a little
Yeah,
bit
it'd be a lot
ridiculous.
to do.
We broke 32,000 items recently because it broke the GE website.
Yeah, I think it was 36,000 or so last I looked.
So yeah, it's a lot.
Cool. The best also asks, once the basics are complete, what are your plans? What plans do we have? We kind of talked about that already, really. When we were talking about barricades, and I was talking about Unil and being able to take over areas, or owning a G and setting the tax prices and stuff like that. The fun is what you talked about.
Essentially, the less serious stuff.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we do need to. You can't. It's hard to build on that fun when you don't have all your combat stuff there and stuff like that. So
it's things like dungeoneering and bounty system we've been shouting about for a long while, and we really want to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. And like we talked about like these like prototypes. So the barricades. I mean, like when I first pitched the barricades, it was kind of very much like just get something in there, and then Mod Hunter went and redid all the fletching and stuff like that. It was like, wow, that's great. And then like the Unil thing, and then there'd be some other things that we can prototype, put in, see how players interact with them, see if people enjoy them. Make changes based on that, and then if like the Unil things goes down well, then we'll start maybe going around, like once we've kind of got all the combat stuff, and we'll start going around each town and doing stuff a little bit differently for each one,
each
or
town
something like
giving
that.
a benefit. Like what was it? I said something really OP. I said, control Falador, and your clan's prayer never drains anything.
Like Falador has like Artisan's Workshop, it has like the mines underneath and stuff, so you could maybe tie in some stuff there and
sort of thing. Like Unil has the Magic Guild, so that's an obvious benefit for owning Unil. Other people wouldn't be able to teleport into the city that you control, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And like other places have a bits, and it doesn't even have to be towns. Like it could be just an area which can maybe be built up upon. It could be some skilling location. It could be like a mine somewhere or something like that. Like the mine north of Remington or something like that.
Yeah, or it could be an entirely new resource, which is like
definitely
a more valuable smithing material or something that's worthwhile.
So that's kind of general plans. I think we're all kind of thinking that with DarkScape, we would like to push more of like the group content. Like if you want to be solo, it's gonna be really difficult. The world's out to get you. You're best like traveling around with friends and and being able to control these areas and stuff like that. And clan warfare would be really cool, like across the surface world and stuff. But as always, we put the stuff in, we see how you guys react to it, and we make changes based on that. Okay, final question. Hobson asks, do you have any plans to make a reward path for PKing or even PK points and a shop?
Yes, for the bounty system.
For the bounty system.
For the bounty system. The good thing about the bounty system is things like your targets aren't fixed. So it's a lot less open to abuse. Certainly we won't be adding the P system back again. That's never happening. But something like the bounty system where, you kill a bunch of Red Skull players, you get points, effectively. We're also playing around with some stuff under the scenes to do with rankings, and once we get that nailed, then we can start having a less abusable system. But we're in very, very early stages at the moment with those things.
Cool. Nice one. Okay then, that's it for today. I'm very sorry for the issues we had with no audio at the start of the stream. I hope you enjoyed our visual
interpretive bands.
But yeah, that's everything. As always, please do give us your feedback in the Reddit on the forums. You can even tweet us. I think we're all at Jagex, then our names, so at Jagex Kelpie, at Jagex Pie, at Jagex Hunter, right? Yeah. And any more questions, do ask. But I'm sure we'll be back next week to answer more. And so until then, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.